If
Yeah, yeah.
required, we can streamline so that we can cover the basics. It's not about like people who expertise who join here and they know, right? That is the whole idea. Yeah, it is a really great idea. Even I feel very happy because I requested Jitendra to make me part of this great initiative. Yeah. Maybe can I start, Jitendra? No,
Yeah,
because
yeah, you can go
yeah,
ahead. Yeah.
yeah. I will share my screen. As I mentioned, this will be very lightweight. Please excuse me for that. So today's topic, today this is the third MuleSoft meetup, which we are going to cover. And as part of this, in first two sessions, we talked about basics of what is a MuleSoft. That was covered by Jitendra Master, and also we talked about very detail about for the basics of RAML files. We know that those two topics are very lengthy, but still, if anyone really want to know about those two earlier sessions, please check our earlier sessions. Apart from that, currently we are going to discuss about three main. These are also very big topics. Actually, it is very difficult to cover within 1 hour, but we try to cover these topics like what are the Anypoint API manager and API policies and API kit router. As you know, Anypoint policies is as comes are part of API manager, and also API kit router is one of the component that we are going to cover. So these are the organizations. If you want to, Jitendra, please speak up. If you want to, these are the organizers. Jitendra, Deepesh, Desh, and myself. If anyone want to speak,
No, no, let's skip. Like,
yeah,
everybody
yeah,
knows about
yeah,
us. So
yeah,
let.
yeah. Yes. So this is a safe harbor, and also let's have a very simple trivia quiz here. And as I told that we covered the two meetups, and now we'll talk about it. Will be very lightweight. And see, before we talk about API manager, as you know that this is a typical diagram wherein it talks about the complete API life cycle, right? So our plan is to cover what are the from the foundation to the complete life cycle. So in this session, we are going to, as part of API lifecycle, we are going to talk about API Manager. That is one of the major component of an MuleSoft iPaaS complete solution platform, and also API policies. That is also one of the major feature that MuleSoft is providing when compared with the other products, and also APIKit router. This is one of the very major component that most of the time we use it. When you build any REST API without APIKit router, we can't imagine building an API, right? Those are the very important topics that we try to cover at high level. Okay, if required, we'll go in depth. So API manager, as we told, it is a component for any point platform, majorly used for the governing and managing and securing the APIs. And also while if you talk about API policies, if you have any APIs, it is very much required to see. It's not just like everything is API, right? Suppose if you want to secure them, it is very much required to apply the policies by considering the concept like for zero trust, right? We have to now. It's very important to apply the policies and secure the API so that sensitive data is not exposed. That is importance of API policies. And also finally, this is an APIKit router that we're going to discuss shortly. Okay. See, API manager, before I go to the API manager, see, when you log into that, this is the one of the diagram actually everyone should know. Eh, mm, Once you go to the API Anypoint platform, there is an option called API manager, and these are the very important parts everyone should know. I know that I'm just jumped on here, but if you look at API manager is every platform has different environments like dev, sit, UAT, and production environment. For every environment, there is an for every environment we can manage our APIs. Like if you take in overall life cycle, once we design our APIs using the API design center, wherein actually developers develop their applications. Those contracts will be, those we call it as contracts, and those contract will be published to the exchange. We are going to show you that, wherein that is where people can go and discover it. Okay, from there, once you discover it, that is like an that is like, suppose we give an example, like suppose we go to a restaurant, we actually, before we order the food, we see the menu card, right? That is a menu card is like an a design. In design center, we actually design our menu card. And then once you create once you create your menu card, that menu card should be, suppose if you have a hotel and if you want to start your hotel maybe next month, or say, maybe shortly, you do a lot of advertisement, but at the same time people also more curious about what kind of food that you are going to order it, right? So for that, it is very much required to create your menu cards before, and we need to publish it, right? So for that, someone has to define what kind of food or what kind of items that you are going to publish, serve in the what are the new products which are going to produce it. So that design center helps us to create the contracts, and those will be, even though if you create an contracts, it is very much required those should be available to people, right? Those should be then discoverable place. How we can do that one? Exchange is a place, even though it is not publicly available, but still within an organization, within certain set of group of people, we can make those menu cards available to the people, so that they can see what kind of menu that you are going to provide and what kind of items that you are going to prepare in future. And also at the same time, when you really, that's about exchange. When you come to the API manager, plays a very key role. If you take an in complete API manager is one of the component of MuleSoft platform, wherein it plays a very key role in actually managing the complete API. Even after discovering, actually we need to do more things like we need to manage the APIs. It's not like just creating. When you create an API, it is required to manage them in different stages, right? All when you create an API, also we are not going to deploy directly into production. There will be different stages that need to be go through. If you look at an earlier stage, earlier API manager who already worked on, it was not so good because there were so many we used to struggle it. But if you look at new API manager, API complete API manager platform, that we call it as an crowd version, which released a few years back, that by doing that, actually MuleSoft has completely seamlessly integrated all the components like design center, API manager, and exchange, and also Anypoint studio. So whether if you really want to use those components, use it. Otherwise, you can directly go to you can very seamlessly integrate. So if moving those contracts from one component to another component is much easier now. And when you say like this is the typical, when you create it, also you can see, even that's this diagram little bit smaller, but you can see that, right? I'm going to show you that what are the API, how the API administration going to do that. And every API, there will be status will be there. And also every API should be managed with the version, right? As you know that uh, in real time there will be multiple versions of APIs may be running parallelly. So managing of version is very important. And also we should identify API with a particular instance. So instance is also very much required. And also it gives a lot of statistics like what are the how many errors that are coming up, and how many clients are actually using those APIs. All those will be displayed in a single code called API manager. Okay, so this is a very much required the slide which we need to everyone should understand. Okay, and and also I will jump on to the next slide. Very few slides I kept. And when you talk about each, if you take an API, that each API has its own attributes. It is also for a fresh for who is actually starting with an API manager. If you want to understand, it is very much required for them. Every API is identified with an API version. And also when the API versions usually we provide in the design center. Then once we publish that API into Exchange, Exchange is like a place where we do the discovery, right? That is why we identify that as an asset version. So asset version is different and API version is different. And also we are going to show you shortly like Exchange also when you publish it, I think it makes sense for us to categorize all those APIs into different categories, right? Like RAML, OSS, like that. So there are different options. Like we can, there are different types of predefined types that MuleSoft supports to publish into the Exchange. That we'll see that, and also, and if required, we can also give the different URLs. And another important thing is that when you create it an API, that should be uniquely identified, right? So because when you create an API specification is available in Exchange, but really real time, what happens, we need to apply the policies, and each and every in each and every environment, that instance need to be identified uniquely, right? Then only we can apply the policies. Otherwise, how we know that same API will be promoted from lower environment to higher environment? Suppose if you want to apply the policies, what I have to do, we should identify that particular API's instance with an unique ID. So MuleSoft is going to provide that unique ID that will be useful by linking this API instance and with that so by using the feature auto discovery, many people know that, right? Using that, we can link this API instance with that actual API implementation.
Ravi, can you please hide your this notification, because I got some request in the chat box. Yeah,
Which
you have a hide button, yeah. So this notification at the bottom, you can see, right? MuleSoft dot sharing your screen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Because I want to just directly go to our Anypoint platform, because people who don't know about it, we want to show it. And once you create an account, what happens is, this is my trial account. People really new, you can ask, we have many masters here, they are ready to answer you. So if you look at this platform, we already in the first session we talked about the design center, and also from design center we also talked about from Exchange, those will be published. Then once we publish it there, I just want to, for the interest of other people, if it, if any API design starts with any design start with this API. And also this is the API we used in earlier session, so that people who earlier started, they can correlate with what exactly we are doing in the current session. So this is the API that we used by Nitesh to demonstrate how can you create the APIs. Then from there, the same specification is published into the Exchange, and then that is identified by a particular asset called I think this kind of REST API. And also you see that, right? We can see all the specifications here, and if anyone want, they can test from here. And now, once the specification is ready with different versions, then what we can do, we go here and the API manager. If you go to API manager, the next thing is, the next task is that we applying some kind of policies, right? So take the same example, how to bring that specification to here. There are different ways MuleSoft provides. One is you can bring that API specification from Exchange, or if required, you create a new API here itself, assuming that no contract is created earlier. Or suppose if you want to, already some contract is defined, some other environment, other account, and if you want to bring it out, directly bring to here. So there are different options. Ideally, what you say as part of API lifecycle, ideally we use manage APIs from the Exchange option, that usually we take it. Okay. And as I told that earlier, I showed one screen wherein this is how it shows that status. When you say status unregistered, that means that actually it is not linked to the actual API instance. That's why it shows an unregistered. And versions are there, and also every instance is identified with an unique instance ID. And as I have not used any APIs, there is no error data and no total request. But client application, I just tried to create few things. That's why you can see that client applications. And also if you see that at left side, we can see the environments, because every environment currently we start with the, because it's a trial account, there will be only two environments like sandbox and production. But you can select the product. We usually we start the API lifecycle from the lower environment. In real time, we start with the dev and sit UAT and production, and right like that. It has all the provisions to promoting API from lower environment to higher environment. And also there is certain option called API groups. If you really want, if suppose if you don't want to manage them using single APIs, we can group them logically and you can manage it. And there are certain, I think we'll cover it, but there are when you talk about policies, what are the things we'll discuss about it. See, once API is created similar to this, see once you created, this is the API just I created, uploaded from there. So this is the API and it has its own auto discovery ID, API instance ID, and also there is an assert here, and it's of type what kind of ramal and everything is there. Then if really want, then we can, if really want, we can start applying policies here that we'll cover later. And there are different policies which are available, and also we can create, if suppose once you create an API, what is the purpose of creating API, right? Finally this API need to be consumed by any one of the client, maybe whether maybe some mobile application or desktop application, someone want to consume, start using it. So in case of, in case of world wherein we don't have API manager, ideally we used to request directly used to come to our directly where used to come directly, we used to invoke the actual API implementation, right? But in this scenario we are not going to directly the request never goes there. Okay. So in that case, before a request comes to an actual API implementation, we should apply the policies. Then only what happens is, and also by using a different policy, by applying the policies, only authorized people can only access it. And also most of the time all APIs are exposed, right? So applying the policies and protecting the APIs is very much required. So everything is, so role of an API manager in whole API platform is and very crucial here, because it manages very well and it controls the complete API lifecycle. Okay, that is why it is very much required for each and every MuleSoft developer to understand the API. But there are certain terminology like API versions and API. This will be little bit initially it may look little bit confused, but if you start using them, then you will get more clarity. Okay. So once we created, I just want to give you, maybe I will go here and exchange, because when we really want to talk about API manager, and see, when you create an API, I told, right, there will be different kinds of asset types. Based on asset types, we'll publish, we'll identify each and every resource. And also there are different options. So once I published here, and once that instance is created, if required, someone want to request for access. Because where you want to request an access, because once you create an API, we once you apply the policies, so we should allow source systems to give an access, right? So those we call it as on client applications. So that's why if you really want, you select, see, can you select it? There is an instance which is already there. So instance is very much required. And I already created a client application. These are the client applications which they call the APIs. So each client will be each, suppose if API is, if you want, if a new application is going to create it, you give a new API name, a new client application name, and then whatever the description, if you want to just give it, and when you create it, it automatically creates request for access. Here I just added different SLA types, we'll talk about later. Once you request it, it actually it request goes to you, and there is a life cycle, right? When someone is like me, they try to access API, it there are two things like auto approval, because we should restrict, right? There are certain clients we don't want to allow them to directly get an access. So someone in the administrator has to API manage administrator of API manage to approve them. And also I just want to show you there are different ways, right? Before we go further, suppose if you want to see as a suppose if you want to see these APIs, what are the APIs, these are the three applications which I requested. Similar to that, if any client you already registered for exchange, they can see their actual applications, right? What are my applications? These are the different clients which I created by using a different client ID credentials. Okay, and also suppose someone want to see that APIs as a public portal. This is another way MuleSoft is provides, so that external users they can use this, and people who don't know about the Anypoint platform give this an external portal. From here, if they want, they can see that, and if required, they can request for access from here. Okay, and this is very brief about API manager, because still we have two topics we need to cover. If anyone has any questions here, Jitendra can ask if anyone has any questions.
No, I don't think like
Because if
Hello.
we look at
Hello.
about, yeah,
Hi,
anyone who is actually freshers, if you have any questions, please ask the questions.
Hi Ravi, this is Arvind. Hello.
Yeah, Arvind, hello.
Yeah, just now I posted one question. Actually, suppose if you are applying the multiple policies, okay, like some start from basic authentication to last is the oath. Okay, so how we can change the order? We can change the order or not?
You are saying that policies order, right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah, I think it is there, right? Is already the option is available. We can change the order. So usually when you
Wo-
apply, yeah, I think when you talk about the policies, but this is a part of this is actually part of API manager, right?
yes.
Actually API manager is very huge, very big topic. We want to just bring an overview about the API manager, but when you go to the real API policies, again we'll go to the API manager to discuss about how we apply the policies. Then we may get some clarity. Okay.
Okay. Jitendra ji was giving some actually answer. There is no direct option for reorder.
direct. See, we don't have it, right, Ravi? Direct option is not available, right?
Okay.
What direct option? What is asking?
So like you cannot drag and drop like take down, right?
See,
That is not possible.
so suppose I started from basic authentication, then
After that,
rate
rate limiting.
after
that
that,
oath,
okay. So when you are hitting that API, so the first will come is basic authentication, second will rate limiting, third one is oath. So can we change the order this one? If I am hitting the my API, so first
Yeah.
the come after that basic authentication, can we change the order?
See here.
I don't think the direct option is
No.
available,
See
right?
edit
So
policy order, right?
Yes.
Here,
yeah, we have it. Yeah,
yeah, I think see this is something like any rules, right? Suppose if you want to
but
policy, yeah, yeah.
like it's and okay, so it's not or like all
Yeah,
like it
ideally,
should fill the
yeah.
condition of all the three policies.
No, my assumption is, Jitendra, correct me. In policies, how we do is that it try to execute one by one in order. If anything
Correct,
fails, it won't execute next one, because
correct.
Okay.
suppose rate limiting is, suppose if client authentication is failing itself, why it should go for the rate limiting? It never goes, right? Usually it finds an order. That's why if you want to fail it in a particular specific order, you have always option to provide the sequence.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's also a good question. And let me go to policies. Policies also we kept very lightweight here, and you know that, right? When you talk about the policies plays a very crucial role while exposing your APIs, like how to control it, and very much required it. And also there are different policies, as most of you know that. One is like when you using a MuleSoft Anypoint platform as an API manager, obviously that platform should give an predefined policies, right? Because people there are some standard policies which are used across the industry. So to tackle those kind of things, MuleSoft has already provided a number of policies which are already which are available. Most of the time we don't see those kind of good number of set of policies in other platforms they have provided. If you don't like it, suppose there are certain scenarios wherein if you really want to use our custom policies, there is a chance you can write it. Okay. And also MuleSoft says that if you really want to apply the policies, if the API is exposed and HTTP based APIs, we can apply. And at the same time, there are multiple ways you can expose that, either maybe the APIKIT router, maybe the if the API, any API which is running on, it's not required every time to use the APIKIT router, right? But at the same time, any API which is running on the cloud or which exposed as an REST client HTTP, and all these four options we can do it. And also there are different in policies also. There are different factors. They are factored based on their categories, purpose, and version, and by configuration we can factor them. And one of the major difference that you identify when compared with I think this is something I mentioned wrong right here, Jitendra. Is it correct? The table which I mentioned?
Again, like it support like YAML file basically.
No, no,
When you're talking
no. I think I wrongly mentioned here, right? Mule.
about this mule tree,
Yeah, yeah.
deployable Java files,
No, I think
yeah, that's
I
fine.
wrongly.
That's fine. Like,
Yeah. But basically, see, I think there are different ways we create our policies. And coming to that, and see, if you look at, there are certain policies we can apply. There are policies, and also we can apply based on the service level agreements. One of them, like what is, when you say service level agreement, like we can't, once you apply once you create once you create an API, we can't apply the same policy to different people, right? Maybe we different. Take an example of, there may be like premium customers. We can't apply the same. We can't apply the same, like we accept only the these many number of requests per minute. No, right? Customers require definitely based on their privileges. So in that case, this SLA based policies was very much helpful for us. And as I told you, there are, when you talk about different policy types, default policies and automated policies. And default policy is something a little bit little bit confusion when you say default policy and automated policies. Default policies is something which are already available as part of the platform. And automated policies, when you say, let us take an example, there is an environment, Mule environment, wherein there are multiple APIs are running in the same environment. Take an example, maybe suppose if you are building an application for an customer, like banking application, banking customers. In that case, what happens? We need to apply policies which are irrespective of what kind of API, we need to apply certain policies, right? In that case, we can apply automated policies. So those policies will be applied automatically to all the APIs which are running in that environment. This is one of the very good feature that most of the customers, insurance customers and banking customer, they use it. And apart from that, we told that again, custom policies are the custom policies, again online custom policies, that the policies which we apply, which we applied from API manager, and those will be applied to the our APIs. Otherwise, there are other kind of things are offline custom policies. If required, we can apply those policies directly at the server level, runtime level. But only problem is that we can't manage them, right? Because finally, people, if really want, they can directly apply the policies, your own policies. But we can't manage from our API manager. So these are the some different kinds of, when you say policy, we can't simply consider it as in one bucket. There are actually categorized into 5 different buckets based on what kind of functionality, what kind of things they are controlling. Take an example, like these are the security related one, like one of the most proper, like basic authentication, OAuth, all these are like security related, right? And if you look at in most real time also, even though there are so many kinds of policies, hardly we use only very few, right? Many people knows it. But platform is supporting all that. In case of compliance, client ID enforcement is that, cross origin region, CORS policies also there. And also, suppose if you want to do anything on header injections, all those can be done here. And also quality of services, when you say how many number of requests you are going to allow it, that comes under rate limiting and spike control kind of things. And also finally, if you want to do logging at the policies level, we can do using the message logging. Okay, then let's go to API manager here and see what kind of policies actually this is platform it would supporting. I told, right, when you say automated policies, if really want to apply, we can use this option to apply the policies. If you want to if you apply any custom policies, there is an option wherein you create your custom policy and apply it here. And let's go to here API administration and see. Let's take in one API which we already created. And for this API, how we did is like as policies. There is, when you go to policies, already applied the rate limiting and SLA based policies. If really want to apply your own policy, select an API policy and then select any one of the policies based on that categories already we talked about. Based on the categories, and there are different versions, right? Based on that, you select them and just apply it. Okay, if you want to apply this spike control, and again there will be multiple versions are there, because people may not be using the same kind of version, right? Based on, if suppose the APIs are a little bit earlier version, so they still, for backward compatibility, they have provided different versions, so apply them. And when you say configure policy, it allows you to configure all these values, number of requests and everything, and you apply it. That's all. By doing that, it applies your policies. And this is the way how you apply the policies here. If this is how you apply the policies. And also we told that this is the contract which is not part of this, but when you ask, see, when earlier few minutes back, we from exchange we requested for access, right? If you look at here, if you want, we can it's actually is a manual approval. And when you approve it, so people with this client ID, client secret, they have the platinum. There is, we already defined SLA types here for this. And silver, gold and platinum, you do that. Usually we are categorizing the customers with different categories, right? So based on that, we can see, if you look at here in customer, I have applied 5 number of requests, something like that. SLAs means service level agreement. And policies, we can apply the n number of policies that it's a very short time. You just know that there is a feature called policies which are apply, and we can manage them.
Ravi,
Okay.
one question. I think it would be good to explain how
Yeah,
to
please.
choose what set of policies for what layering. I mean, sometimes it wouldn't
Yeah.
make sense. Some of the policies might not be relevant for system APIs, right? So could you
Yes.
please quickly tell the team how to
I
choose
agree that, yeah.
what
This is
policy?
good. Yeah.
Thank you.
Usually what happens, in my opinion, suppose, see when you expose your APIs, most of the time, see, there is, I think actually that is a good question. We used to have very good uh, deck. We have it as part of MCP also. MuleSoft has provided. It talks about what kind of APIs that we applied. I could have shown it. That's a good question. But let's talk about. I don't want to throw it because of that. All those actual points not in my completely in mind, but if you look at when a request is coming from external world, like maybe mobile application, maybe from maybe desktop application, so usually there are out in that case, most of the time IP whitelisting and blacklisting will comes into, right? And also JSON threat protection also applies to the experience APIs, where because people can try to malicious info, the request they can come up, right? They can send data like fuse data, JSON files. So those can be applied here. And again, client ID, if you take in client ID, client security environment, many people think that client ID, client security is applied at the only at the top level. No, sometimes what happens, sometimes certain APIs which they expose, even process APIs, experience to process APIs, the process API will directly expose some other systems. So in that case, we can apply the client ID enforcement even at the experience as well as at the process layers. And 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 do you remember anything, Jitendra? This is a very good question actually. Like XML and JSON threat protections are
Yeah,
the,
like or system at the system layer, sometimes we apply that spike control also, because
yeah,
there are some system who is not able to take too many requests, right? So it is
yeah,
always best practice to apply a spike control basically at a system layer also.
yeah.
Then
It
like
is good.
sometime like you like at a experience layer you also applied the JWT validation policy. So basically whenever you want to enable the OAuth like with support grant type authorization code client credential or password, so you can
Yeah,
simply like apply the JWT validation policy for validating your token. But
yeah,
there are few policies which is tokenization and de-tokenization. So you cannot use those policy with the cloud up. So those policies mean for a runtime fabric manager. So by
yeah,
default those
yeah,
policies not enabled. So if you want to use those policy, so you want to you have to set up a tokenization service on your runtime fabric, right?
yeah,
So once you
yeah,
done that, and you like then you can see that policy will get enabled, and you
yeah,
can make use of that. So mainly that policy is used to like hide your like to change your data. Basically like you are getting the social security number, and you
yeah,
want to like send it, like you don't want to show that social security number, or you don't want to log those security number. You just change that with some kind of with the tokenization service. It will go,
yeah,
it will process the request. Whenever you response come, you want to again change that social security number to the original social security number, then you can use the de-tokenization. So
yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah,
yeah, so,
thanks, Jitendra. I think another also HTTP caching. Suppose so we at the policy level itself, if we are getting the same kind of request, right? By using the HTTP caching, wherein requests are same for same kind of request. If someone is coming up instead of calling the process APIs and system APIs, we can send the cached response back to the clients, right? Yeah, those kind of things we can apply. And the recent past, what happens is that as earlier case is that most of the time we thought that okay, some APIs are only experience APIs are exposed but not the system and process APIs. But if you think in a real time scenarios, there may be other systems. When you say when API is exposed, any there may be other systems which are any other system which may not be running in the cloud, or maybe request coming from another cloud, right? Maybe there may be other system which is sitting just beside your mule server, but that is unknown to the server. So those requests also, they may also try to get the details, may try to access those system APIs, right? We saw certain scenarios wherein internally those system APIs are directly exported to some other APIs. In that case, it is very important to apply all these APIs, and we need to make sure that our APIs are protected in each and every layer to achieve the zero trust.
correct. And like Ravi, I want to add few more things. So
Yes.
basically, whenever you are writing your ramls, basically, or whenever you are designing your ramls, right? So you have to ensure that like you have designed your raml with proper best practices and recommendation. You have
Yeah.
taken care of your security schemas. So whenever you have defined any data types or any fields, you define the mean and max length for those things. You define the
Yeah.
patterns. So
Yeah.
that is very important. So those like if
Yeah.
you are defining your raml properly, so you can avoid a lot of attacks like mass assignment, like distributed denial of service. So
Yeah.
like so you have to ensure that you define your raml with all the security aspects. Then
Yeah.
you apply the proper policy at a proper layer. So this will ensure that like you can avoid various security vulnerabilities like mass assignment, like SQL
Yeah.
injection, PHP injection,
Yeah.
distributed denial of service. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree. Yeah. Yeah.
Only one last point I would like to
Yeah.
add, if
Yeah.
may I. Only thing is, if we over-engineer the security policies, right, there is a flip
Yeah.
side that it might increase the processing time on the request. I think it boils down to our security parameter where our service sits. Based on that, there would be a guidance to apply specific policies. I think we should be wary of that as well.
Thanks, Sudhir. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks, Sudhir. Yeah. Maybe let's very quickly jump on to our APIKit router. This is something not directly related to the API manager and the API policies, but this is the one of the component we use very regularly, right? When you define it. So just it is will take an opportunity to just explore what is an API kit. So this API kit router is used to maybe two things, right? Suppose if you are using a REST based APIs, then there are and SOAP based and WSDLs also. For both, this API kit router is useful in automatically generating the flows for us. And also when you say internally it use archetype to create it, and also when you look at internally it creates automatically for you an entry point for our API, single entry point for us as an HTTP listener. Then also it gives an additional flow like an API console wherein we can see all the flows which are available, and also automatically creates an scaffolding for us so that it gives an entry point for us implementation. So based on that we can start implementing it. So basic functionality of APIKit router is message routing, enrichment, and validation that you do that. Because earlier, if you take an example wherein without APIKit router, so this routing need to be done manually by us, and also any validations need to be done right without any pain. This APIKit router is doing validation against our RAML or visitors, right? And these are the some typical things people who fresher they have to understand, right? One of the thing when compared with mule 3 and mule 4, what happens API kit router, if you look at what it's saying is that if you really want to change, earlier it used to be directly tied up with the platform. Now if you really want to change a different version of API kit router, it's simply they made it as a dependency in the pom.xml so that we can modify it. And also they're saying that this APIs earlier is directly moved to the resource folder. Because of that, it's avoiding duplication of API specifications. Okay, that is one of the example. And also one of the thing as a fresher, we should understand that when you give a simple RAML while creating the API, it actually it's within scaffolder what it do, it automatically creates a listener and also gives an API router actually tags are like an automatic creates. And if you look at the code, it creates an API kit configuration and also listener configurations and one flow within one listener router. So everything will be done and automatically at the same time it also creates the error handling, right? Suppose what are at a HTTP listener level, what are the typical error handling that it has to handle it, all will be available, readily available. So that is one of the advantage by using the API router we can achieve it. This is the another view of that wherein when you create it, it's create and create router and consoles and error handling also will be done. And also these are the placeholders. So whatever the rambles that we created, all those will be in message transformers. All also will be added, and also you can see that right based on the message, REST. What are the methods? Any REST HTTP method based on that automatically creates flows for you. That is the main advantage. And also at finally this is the error handling wherein error codes and based on all these error codes will be automatically added to your API router. So if required we can modify it, but these are the default things that it handles it. And let's quickly go to the people who really want to know about this. See, when someone just I want to show you how this API router is going to create it. And suppose if you want to create employee v1 API, and when you give an API, and I can select this RAML directly from my desktop. I kept here, and see, this is my API and select RAML, and I have selected the root RAML, and just when I clicked it, it takes that I have not given anything. I just created one API name and I just give the RAML, because the RAML is the something contract is already defined and everyone is agreed upon, right? It has all the resource, what kind of resources are, what are the methods and everything is there. So MuleSoft has made our life much easier by simply selecting that RAML file. It automatically even there are different options that import a published API, or maybe import RAML from the local file, or maybe you can directly take the RAML from the design center. This way we can directly create our APIs here. I think it's taking some time here, but hopefully if you look at here, everything is created here. And also if you look at the structure here, see API kit router is also added separately. And also you have to observe is that if you look at here, it should be there, right? Automatically this as part of plugins dependency should be there. API kit module is there. So everything is externalized. If whatever you want, you just do it. And when you look at here, interesting point is that when you look here in HTTP, router is routing to all these flows based on how number of flows. And also one of the advantage here is that can you see here, like APIKit router is creating it, and also we can observe it. Now, this is the raml file. It is automatically for which API raml. So it validates whatever it is there. Again, is that it is going to validate it. At the same time, error flows also there. Suppose if you created automatically, these errors will be automatically created, and if you want, you can extend it. This way it makes our life much easier and simpler. Okay, in real time when you create it, so these are the entry points, then you can create the implementation flows here, so that keep it intact, so that your implementation start from for each and every flow you create implementation and an API, maybe implementation configuration file, and start building it. And also, like, if suppose if you really want, there are different options, right? If you want, we can from Anypoint platform we connect and we can directly get get the ramls, and also we can very easily sync up our APIs which are there in the studio to the design center and all. This is all about very brief about this basics of all that. People who really have any doubts, maybe basically may freshers, we request to ask the questions. Otherwise, otherwise we can jump on to the quiz. But at the same time, is anyone has any questions? These are the very huge topics. We know that. Thank you very much for people joining this session, for providing your support. But please encourage, yeah, you please encourage and spread this word to friends who knows them, and ask them to freshers to join and make this program successful, right? Because we know that many ambassadors, meetup leaders, and mentors has joined in this group. Please spread this word and ask your friends and maybe anyone who knows engineering. Just ask them, so that we know we can start contributing more and help them. Yeah, yeah. I think almost, because I don't want to take much of time. It's a very short time, but we want to wind up. It's almost 10 p.m. in India. But we are open. Like we for from this engineering students group, we have four people. We are dedicated here. Anyone who want, we can contact us, and we try to help those people. Yeah. With that, Jitendra, I want to logically conclude here. I don't want to take much of their valuable time, and if required, I think we will go with our typical trivia quiz, very simple quiz, and I have the
Yeah, yeah.
slide. We'll run it. Maybe we'll proceed with the trivia. It will be very simple, and you please answer it. But how Jitendra will. Can we go with trivia, Jitendra? Or are you
Yes.
going to?
No, you can go.
I'm going to share once again my screen, and I will use it. Right? Let's use our chat window only to just.
Ravi, there is a question. Can you take that question? Can you chat?
Yeah, 1 minute. Is it Ravindra
Yeah,
question, right?
yeah.
We don't have any. We don't have to update the normal version, because if we change the version, we'll also change the right. See, suppose if the new raml version is creating it, and new version will be published, right? Because sometimes what happens, that is what major version, minor version. Suppose if you expose one API with a different version, and there is a change request comes up, and they want a completely different maybe the resource may be same, and but maybe the complete input fields may be entirely different, right? We can't ask the end user to use that API with the same version. Then what we do, API name may be the same, but we change the API version, maybe V2, and publish and manage it separately. Once both versions V1 and V2 will be running parallel, And once once the first version, when we'll ask the people to start using the next version and slowly decommission the version 1, that's what we do that. So because the end, see, asset version is something different, that is related to our exchange, that is managed by exchange, but API version is very much required for us, right? So you, for which question you answered, Jitendra? You secure properties. Yeah, how to mask the values, right? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. See, I'm telling you, to be honest, it's not so easy to cover these topics, very hard topics, and we only intention is we want to keep this momentum and make the awareness, bring the awareness to the people, saying that engineering people, so that once we have a constant number of people, right, then Ajitandra's idea is to make sure we 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 very well properly structure them so that they will get the actual real fruit of this whole idea, right, Jitendra? That is the whole idea.
Yes, Ravi.
Yeah. Maybe I will quickly move on to the, without further delay. I want to move because I don't want to waste. I don't want to. Uh,
Just
Jitendra,
one thing. Sorry, Ravi.
yeah,
This
please.
is Nitish. Yeah. So, uh, can we do after just Q&A session? Can we do a photo session as well, just before the trivia quiz? So
What do you
post
want?
trivia
I
we
didn't
can.
get you.
Yeah, just before the trivia quiz, can we do a
Yeah, yeah, sure,
photo
sure.
as
Yeah, yeah, please, yes,
right?
please.
Because people usually just log off just
Yeah,
after the trivia
sure,
quiz itself. So
definitely.
I like.
But definitely, yeah, on behalf of everyone, we would like to thank the people, uh, like our ambassadors who are senior people. I never even, to be honest, when we moved this meeting to weekend, I thought like recently one movie released in our area and no one has joined. I thought, at least I thought of running this show whether someone is joining or not, because there is a lot of problem, right? Because Saturday, Monday, we can't expect the people to join. It's a billable time, right? Most other people works in different regions. In that way, we really appreciate for all your support. Basically, I know that we you might have not learned much here, but the support that we got from all people is really appreciated, right, Jitendra, Nitesh?
Jack is speaking on mute. We can see the happiness, but
Yeah,
not the
yeah.
voice.
So I would like to thank Sudhir, Manik, who took the participate in answering the questions. So thank you so much for joining the meetup, and this is like honor for us, So all the MuleSoft members that joined this meetup. Thank
Yeah,
you so much.
Abhishek also
So
there.
Manik,
Abhishek
Sudhir,
also
if
there.
you want to, yeah, Abhishek is there. Francis is also there, basically.
Francis, without Francis,
Right.
some people we can't run the show, man. Those are like side lights and stage, right? We can't run the show without screen and everything,
Yeah.
back screen, everything, right? Those are the pillars.
Yes,
All of it.
Francis will always join,
Yeah.
Thanks, Francis, for joining the meetup. So
So
I want
any,
like everybody can start their camera.
I can say, suppose if anyone got any doubts, we can directly contact Francis, because